Hey everyone, we're going to go through Avax today and take a look at the major levels both above us and below us, and I'm going to give you what I think is the most probable scenarios for Avax for the rest of this year. After an 80% pump, I want to keep you level-headed and I want to tell you what is most probable, not just what is possible. Moon Boys will tell you that we're going straight up to new all-time highs, the bear market is over and all coins are the best time to buy, but I think the charts are telling you something a little bit different. So stick with me as we dive into Avax today, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're getting value, and without further ado, let's crack on. So just going through Avax here, you can see where we've had key levels of support and resistance so far, which is around this $10 to $12 mark, and you can see that historically this is the area where we've seen the most amount of support and resistance in Avax's history. Marking out the key levels here, I want you to be well aware that the trend for Avax, as with most other altcoins, even after an 80% pump, is still to the downside. You can see that on the macro, after breaking down for a $146 high, you can see that we have still been creating lower highs, okay, and we're still creating a lower high here and creating lower lows over the short to medium term in the last 6 months. And we do not have the evidence yet to suggest that the pump that we've just had is going to be anything significant until we start taking out the high of $20.5 and we start closing above it to show significant strength at those levels. Untested order blocks tend to be magnets for price, and we eventually reach those levels. So if you can see, the reason that I've had these boxes marked out for actually quite a long time, okay, is that let's just take a look at exactly where we are now. So we're in this order block where we broke down from, okay, from the FTX high, which was about 17.2 to about $20, because remember the order blocks above us, which we're just testing now, okay, is basically the green candle before the down impulsive move that breaks the market structure, okay? And then what can we see? The reason I've had this in here, and we've touched this perfectly to the wick, okay, is this exact order block that we're testing, okay? So if we're going to continue this downtrend, which should be your preference here, okay, you need to go with the overall direction and trend of the market. We're expecting, okay, until proven otherwise, that Avax is most likely going to deviate somewhere in this red box and move back down to the downside to test some of these lower blocks at the very least. This darker red zone that I've marked out is the exact order block within the order block, because remember, you're kind of like operating within a matrix here, okay, that is going to give you higher confirmation and where you can possibly take trades. So you can see that we whipped up to 18.5 and we've basically seen a sharp correction, so we're still looking to test probably areas below us before we move higher. So I want to be clear here that the least likely scenario from here is that we go straight up from here for Avax, because I think that we need to consolidate and retest some of these lower levels, especially after an 80% pump. And you have to bear in mind that after bear markets, you don't tend to sort of like start the bear market with euphoria. You tend to get some sort of hesitation and build up, and there's usually liquidity issues. So the areas that we're looking at below us to test immediately is going to be somewhere within this green order block, okay, at 14.5, and then the key level that we broke out from at about 12.2. So about $14 is this horizontal support flip, okay, which is the beginning of the order block, because remember, it's the red candles before the up move that breaks the structure of the market being about 14.5. So the most likely thing that happens here is that we're probably going to either wedge up, take out some stop losses, create some kind of ascending channel, something like this, and then look for a move back to the downside. So I'll be looking for any swing failure patterns into this area, maybe big pushes up and then close back in a range, or maybe some kind of like inverted head and shoulders, something like this, okay, where we can potentially, you know, look to move down. But the key levels really that you're looking out for is you shouldn't be buying now Avax, you should be waiting for that pullback, and you're probably going to get an opportunity soon. That would mark a 22% decline, and then we've even got you know, a few more levels down below us that Avax can still stay long-term bullish here, and that's at about 12 here. So this area is a better buy zone, okay, and that would also give us some Fibonacci retracements, probably down to about the 786, yeah, and the 618. Somewhere between here is usually the best buy zones to join uptrends and you know, get in on the pullbacks. If Avax does break out from this corrective channel, because crypto can do that, because you know the moves are very fast and volatile, and then we can start to take out this high over here, which is at 20.6, and we can close here and hold here for a significant period of time. This is going to tell you that Avax is probably ready to challenge the next order block above us. So we tend to move from order blocks to order blocks, and you can see that as soon as we broke out from this order block at 14.2, where did we go? This was essentially a void in price. It's just a straight vertical drop. No support, resistance has basically been, you know, accumulated here, and you can see that once we broke out, that's why we tested this order block over here, and we're currently stalling. So if we break 20.5 and we start to close here, I would expect an immediate retest, okay, of the untested order blocks, which are up here. So if we move up from here, even just from 20.6, and we're able to move up into that next order block, then we can still see an appreciation of a further 30%, because even though the RSI, which we can see has been pretty elevated on like the 12-hour, okay, and the daily at about 80, 82, you tend to get some divergences which can play out in a number of different ways. So you can basically get these divergences that play out here where you stall and then you make a high and then another high like this, okay, and then you push into that top order block and basically you start to get lower highs on the RSI. So these are things that we want to be looking out for, but if we break this, probably straight to $27. Now I want to give you the absolute best case scenario that I can see for Avax this year, because I don't think all altcoins are going to make all-time highs anytime soon. However, if we manage to take out all of these highs, okay, and we move up, we've got absolutely mammoth horizontal resistance right above us, which is the order block beginning at about $58, and you can see that this is the level on the macro time frame that we've got a massive void where we dropped, okay. So if we break and we start to move impulsively from $30 and break up to the upside, then you can see that this is the real level that we're looking at for. So the highest level that I can see as an absolute best case scenario for Avax this year is probably going to be about that 58 level. But as your bias should still be to the downside, because you have no evidence that we're going to go up there yet. The most likely scenario still from the moment is that we are going to probably still move down to lower lows, and we're not quite ready yet. So you can see that the last tested order block the last untested order block that we've got here is this daily candle and this daily price range here between $8 and $5. So long as that remains untested, okay, we could very well at some point later this year, if we get one last collapse, okay, we could dip into this level, and basically if we would maybe form some kind of range here, and then we basically see support from here, this area could very well mark the low for Avax, and even from here, from these prices, that's still a downside of about 56-60%. So I just want you to bear that in mind. And the reason that I follow order blocks and respect order blocks the most is that you can see that every single time it's the areas that are respected the most. So you can see that within all of these order blocks, like here, okay, and all of the major ones, you can see that basically when we come back up here, we basically came down here, tapped straight into this area at $14. That's no coincidence, and that's where we saw our initial bounce. So I'm always looking for areas of reaction where we're probably going to get volatility, both to the upside and to the downside. And can you see how that when we have a sustained downtrend and we move down impulsively, we create blocks of price action, okay, like this, and basically every time we come back up, we retest these order blocks and then continue to move back down, and so forth and so forth. And again up here we still created a lower high from here because we had order blocks, okay. So that's why these areas tend to get respected the most, and why we see that the way and the flow of the market operating like this. Whilst I think that there is going to be a lot of volatility and potentially even like 100-300% moves for some of these altcoins, okay, ultimately I do think that this is going to be a sideways accumulation year for altcoins, maybe even still finishing and closing a little bit lower, where we might even go retest some of these levels, come down, okay, and then form some kind of accumulation, maybe dip into this zone. But ultimately I think that the most likely scenario for the altcoins this year is that we're probably going to stay range bound at these lower levels, and then over the long term, by the end of the year, if we start to see these basing accumulation patterns where we basically move sideways and base and we run out of sellers, then we're probably going to be ready for another giant move up, okay. But obviously that is also going to be dependent somewhat on Bitcoin and how the strength of the market looks and what the macro is saying. So that's my verdict on Avax. And like I said, when you see blocks of price action that you move out of impulsively, I always look for them to be retested, because historically they do like to be retested. So I think the key here is going to be patience. Don't jump in on FOMO even if we move higher, okay? Because often the market has a way of punishing those people who basically get in and buy the breakouts, and it's never typically a good idea. If you got value from this video and I helped you see Avax in a clearer way with where to buy, where to sell, and what levels you should be looking out for, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video.